The Promised Neverland Season 2 is nearing its conclusion, and many of the manga readers have made it abundantly clear how they felt about this second season of the anime. When I decided to embark on this journey and read the manga for myself, the outcry became apparent. Excluding fan favorite characters is one thing, but to cut out one of the best arcs from the story, if not arguably one of the best arcs I read in shonen altogether, left me feeling perplexed. In this video, we'll be discussing Goldy Pond, the arc that will most likely never come to life in anime form, the significance of the plot, why it shouldn't have been excluded from this season. At the end of Season 2, Episode 4 of the Promised Neverland anime, we see the shelter broken into as the kids narrowly escape into the forest after being chased down by humans. Luckily, the kids are saved by a giant monster because the adults hunting them down were extremely idiotic by firing loud gunshots alerting the monsters. As a result, we witness the kids escaping to the forest, with the following episode jumping into a time skip with the kids arriving and settling down into a demon town. In the manga, it plays out differently. The kids remain in the shelter while Ray, Emma, and a mysterious man, one of the two fan favorite characters the manga readers couldn't stop talking about, decides to head into the forest with the coordinates received by William Minerva's pen. From this point onward, as three characters make their way into the forest, Emma's mysteriously captured and wakes up in a secret garden. Now, I won't spoil everything that goes down in Goldy Pond, but anime only fans, this is your final chance to back out of this video in 3, 2, 1. What I love about Goldy Pond is the setup in which it was supposed to be a safe haven for the children who wanted to live a slightly better life than that of the shelter thanks to William Minerva, but through some unfortunate turn of events has now become a secret hunting ground for the demon elites. Think of it as a safari where the demons are the hunters and the children are the prey. The premise alone was enough to draw me in, and the sheer horror and intensity I felt for the kids placed in Goldy Pond while reading this arc was through the roof. That being said, I have to commend the atmosphere and setting of Goldy Pond. While I wouldn't say it's as immersive like Morio and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4, Goldy Pond does an excellent job of initially welcoming anyone who enters the garden with arms wide open, only to quickly transition into a creepy Alice in Wonderland circus-themed nightmare moments later. Before the second season of the anime aired, my biggest curiosity was how they could duplicate that lightning in the bottle psychological thriller aspect I enjoyed thoroughly from the first season. While the second season of the anime failed on that in all accounts for me, Goldy Pond delivered it in spades. We are introduced to an array of characters with many of them having standout moments, including one character in particular hinting as to what transpired with Norman back at the Lambda 7214 testing facility. You know that flashback episode we just finished watching in the anime? Well, in the manga, the lead up and reveal about Norman possibly being alive somewhere out there in the world felt all the more mysterious and intriguing. Now, this next statement may sound a bit hyperbolic, but the group of villains introduced here are some of the best I've seen in shonen period. The image alone speaks for itself, which by the way, can we just admire how hauntingly beautiful they look? The illustrations alone makes me appreciate the manga medium all the more now. Back to the topic at hand, the standout villain for me in this arc is Luvis. If you thought Isabella was an amazing antagonist for the Gracefield children, Luvis rivals her. Hell, I may even tip my aristocratic hat towards him and say he does an even better job than Isabella. He's fearsome, cunning, intelligent, and above all, his reason to hunt children is to satisfy that primal urge adrenaline junkie thrill one can only get from hunting or being hunted. Having said that, kids actually die in Goldy Pond. They don't shy away from the violence and gore you get here, and some of the images depicted can get graphic. Furthermore, I've never seen so many children go guns blazing Rambo style on anyone up until this point, which may explain why we never got Goldy Pond at all, but we'll talk about that later. One of the many issues I became frustrated with the second season of the anime was the neck-break pacing with its narrative. They told us things, but we barely got to experience those things or why they actually matter to the overall narrative. In contrast, the writing in Goldy Pond not only explores the foundation for more world building, but it also adds more layers to the overall mystery happening in the universe of the Promised Neverland. Remember the phone call Emma listened to back in season 2? Well, it happens in Goldy Pond. In the manga, Emma and the second fan favorite character the manga readers couldn't stop talking about listens to the recorded message of William Minerva. While the anime does do a good enough job covering the key plot elements explained here, manga William Minerva mentions something about the seven walls. At this point in the story, the seven walls are now mentioned twice, carrying even more intrigue and mystery, considering that the first time we heard it was mentioned back when Mujika handed Emma the amulet. Which, wow, I can totally see why manga readers continuously have gotten bitter every week about how the anime has handled this second season. One final thing I would like to add is how intelligent these children are in this arc. While the kids in Goldy Pond aren't from Gracefield themselves, they outsmart the demons in several clever instances, only for the demons to one-up them moments later. This tug-of-war mind game game on who reigns supreme as the most intelligent species is sprinkled all throughout the arc. This in turn highlights Emma on why she is so special herself. Even after the arc concluded, I was still bewildered with how she outmaneuvered some of these demons. While I still don't know what may happen to her later on in the manga, if you had to ask me which Emma is better, anime Emma or manga Emma, I'm going to pick manga Emma every time. Overall, I hope I sold many of you on why you should read and experience Goldy Pond for yourselves. But now let's discuss reasons on why I think it was cut out. If these rumors circulating online are predicted to be true, with the anime having to wrap up in just 2 seasons, Goldy Pond being omitted, while sad, expedites the plot forward. While the arc does a fantastic job of adding character development for both Emma and Ray, well, more so Emma, specifically, the only thing I would argue we needed from Goldy Pond was the phone call conversation Emma listened to, which they gave it to us back at the shelter. Although I'm still scratching my head as to why the anime chose to exclude the detail about the 7 walls. On a side note, the help sign left back at the shelter in the anime actually spelled out Poachers in the manga. Considering the safari hunting vibes you get with Goldy Pond, Poachers has much more of a deeper meaning and better ring to it than, well, help! But what about the Goldy Pond characters themselves, you might be asking? Well, if the anime decided to solely reference them as Easter eggs as opposed to actually being significant to the plot of the anime, then excluding them isn't the worst thing in the world, right? Again, I'm not agreeing with the decision the anime studio made here, but to speed up the plot, it makes sense when you think about it. Now, another popular theory I've heard circulating as to why Goldy Pond was cut from the anime was due to the fact that Japanese culture and firearms don't exactly go hand in hand. It might be considered taboo or something else entirely, but the Promised Neverland IP being considered shonen friendly, appealing to kids and teenagers alike, showcasing their beloved characters using and shooting firearms as a hobby might give off the wrong impression to someone. Fun fact, Haikyuu was so popular during its circulation that the percentage of kids learning and getting involved in male volleyball teams in high school spiked over the past few years. Spiked? You see what I did there? Now, while those two things are completely different, do you think some higher up in a suit at Shonen Jump or somewhere else wants to deal with a potential Karen, making an outcry on the internet blaming the Promised Neverland as to why their kids wanted to pick up shooting a gun as a hobby? And overall, leaving out Goldy Pond from the 2nd season of the anime felt like wasted potential if you ask me. Furthermore, I would argue that if Goldy Pond was included in the 2nd season of the anime, both manga readers and anime onlys would be praising the show all the more than the tumultuous season we are experiencing now. I can truly understand now how the manga readers must have felt and the disappointment as to what could have been deemed as one of the best arcs not only for this year in anime but in shonen anime altogether. Let me know what you guys think. My name is DJ Malls, and as I always say, to be continued, take care.